Welcome to C-Suite Sherpas, where we shine light on business experts and resources you should know. I'm your host, Ron Partridge, and I'm excited today to have Phuc Ly, founder of Level Up Quest. So welcome. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you, Ron. I'm glad to be here, talk more about everything.
All right, so we're going to jump into that. I first want to talk about Level Up a little bit. Level Up Quest enhances how tax training is done by gamifying the learning experience. So I'm excited to see how you actually do that. If you're ready, we'll jump right in.
Yeah, let's talk about it. I had a tax firm about 18 years ago and recently sold it. My premise with Level Up Quest is that one of my biggest pain point when I had a tax firm was just training my employees. I didn't have time to train them as effectively as I wanted to until later on once I started developing a training system. Now I'm taking that training system and sharing it with other accountants to help them level up their team because I'm assuming if I had that pain point, then I'm assuming other accountants with firms and employees about when it comes to tax preparation on how they could train them better or setting a set time to allow them to be trained, but also making the training more engaging and interactive. That's my whole premise for Level Up Quest.
Do you find that you get more retention of the learnings, or is there a benefit to make it more interesting?
Retention is a big part in the accounting industry. We have to do continuing education throughout the year. And these seminars or webinars, to me, they are very boring. I don't really pay attention. I'm just doing this to get my hours. But what I wanted to do was make it more engaging. When I first started and I had employees, I would send them to these webinars and seminars and said, okay, that's my training for them. And I would expect them to go learn everything and then apply it to their work, which doesn't really happen. What I wanted to do was create something that's gamified, more engaging, not just a bunch of slides with words on it, but using visuals, storytelling, and analogies to help get the point across when it comes to the tax topic itself, to help retain that knowledge. In these webinars and seminars, they're very technical because it's being taught by another accountant teaching another accountant, right? So they're using all these words and accounting jargon that makes sense to accountants, but won't make sense to a client. The problem is that because accounts are being taught this way, they're also explaining it to clients the same way that they're being taught with a lot of accounting jargon, a lot of technical words that accountants only understand, right? So I want to create a lesson where we are able to take the understanding of taxes and make it super simple, put it in layman's term, really easy for a client to understand.
Wow, that's great. So, who does this work best for? Accounting for sure, but are there other firms this works for?
Right now, it's mainly tax firms preparing taxes, helping clients, especially on the individual side. I'm creating content for business taxes later, but my focus is mainly on the individual side, since that's where I think most clients are coming from, is on the individual side.
Okay. And what sets your business apart from other people that may be doing the same thing?
I think it's the visuals and storytelling that I use in my training program. And the visuals that I use is actually downloadable and shareable to clients as well. So I did it in a way where it's easy to understand. It's kind of like infographic, where it's not just a bunch of words and or a long PDF. There's a timeline that makes it easier to understand, breaks it out into manageable chunks and informational pieces that makes it easier to digest as well. So the visuals is very helpful because it actually allows the accountant to share it with their clients and go through all the main talking points necessary to explain whatever tax topic it is. So say if it's stock options, what is it that the client really needs to know about their stock options? And it breaks it down into pieces where I can just talk to the client saying, okay, we're going to talk about this, this, and this, and then go through the whole thing. During tax season, it gets super busy. So having these guides to walk us through the discussion makes it more effective for everybody.
And they're doing this with the client as well. So the client's
Correct.
seeing this.
If you're doing a Zoom meeting with a client, you could just do a share screen with the visual because it's in PDF format. You could just share your screen as a PDF. Or if you want, you could print out all the visuals. Or if you know the client's going to come in for a very specific question when it comes to their taxes, like, oh, I'm going to buy a rental property. What's everything I need to know? Then you print that visual and give it to the client after you go through it.
Do you find that when you have done this, has it affected the client experience in a positive way?
Very, very much so in a positive way. When I first started in the tax business, I had a mentor, the guy who sold the firm to us for the first couple years. But the way he explained things to clients and what I noticed, what he was doing inside the client meetings was that very technical and was just explaining things that's very complicated that didn't really need to be that complicated. Kind of went off on tangents sometimes too. And I could just see on the client's eyes, like their eyes are just glossed over. I don't understand anything you're saying. This is why I'm hiring you. Do whatever you need to do. I felt like that wasn't the experience clients wanted. They wanted to understand their taxes. They wanted to know what's going on. I wanted to be that person that provides that clear explanation so they understand it fully. They feel like they know what's going on with their taxes. They know exactly what they need to know, what's important. I wanted to be that gateway to allow them to understand their taxes.
So you would start doing this with your firm that you ended up selling, correct? Did you see how big the retention rate or the rate of customers coming back the next year?
Yeah, we had a high retention rate. What's nice with accounting is clients come back year after year. It's not like you have to sell them anything new. It's just once they're your client, they usually stay with you for a few years. So ours on average is around 5 to 7 years, which is good for the industry. Sometimes people pass away, sometimes they move away. So that's when we would really lose clients. We rarely lost clients because of bad service. For our firm, we're one of the highest rated firms on Yelp for our area for the very longest time.
Oh, that's great. So what's the biggest challenge you see your industry facing and how are you tackling that for your clients?
Right now, when it comes to AI, eventually AI will start doing all the data entry, make it really easy. So the challenge I think would be in accounting space or tax preparation space is that if the the tax preparer or the accountant is only doing tax returns, then that's probably AI is probably going to take over that part. So I think they need to concentrate more on advisory service, which means giving you real advice. Because when it comes to tax preparation, it's backward looking. It's like looking in the rearview mirror where you're just seeing whatever happened already last year, right? It's just filing numbers for what happened before. Tax advisory services are looking through the front of the car, looking through the window and seeing where are we going? What is it that we need to do to save on taxes? The only way to save on taxes is to be proactive during the year and figure out what can we do during this year right now to save when we file next year.
Yeah, that's a great point. I wish my accounting firm was forward looking like that. I'd like
Mhm.
to do
Most
better
accountants
planning.
aren't. It's very common for accounting firms. Maybe it's just the legacy, the way accounting is. It's just
Yeah.
it's about reporting, doing tax returns, and that's the main things. Like that's the compliance. You have to do a tax return. So the accountants come in and say, I want to help you file the tax return because you have to file a tax return. When it comes to advisory, it's really way more proactive. It's saying, okay, this is where you are now, and this is where I want you to go. Here are the steps to get you there. That's where my courses and my lessons are because to get a client from point A to point B, you need to be able to explain to them what is it, why they want to get there, what is it that they need to do and how to do it. My level up quest learning system is about that, walking clients through this maze of taxes and confusion so it's easy for them to understand. That's where visuals come in because in the visuals it provides step-by-step guide on what is it that the client needs to do, like what actionable steps they need to do to get from point A to point B.
And thinking about your comment about AI doing the data entry portion and technical behind the scenes stuff, there still needs to be an explanation to the client because the client still has to understand it, even though it was done
Correct.
by AI, right? It
Correct.
seems
Correct.
like
Yeah.
there's still an area where your system, your approach on training and education is still required.
I feel it's very important because you need that connection with the client. If the client is just doing their own research on Google or ChatGPT, they could do that on their own if they wanted to. But right now, people still want that connection with another person. To have that connection, you need to explain it in a way that resonates, that has them understanding their own taxes. Even if you type things in ChatGPT, they're pretty good at explaining it, but it's not always correct because the way the language model is. There's always going to be changes in tax law and rules. So being updated with that, making sure that the person's updated with that and be able to explain to the client what they might need to do next to follow the new rules going on. So there's so much that as a client, they want that human touch, human experience to be able to explain it to them in a clear way instead of just reading it off a chat GPT prompt.
Yeah, that's great. I'm gonna throw you a curveball. We want to do a lightning round where I'm going to ask you, I want the viewers to get to know you a little bit more personally,
Okay,
which means I'm just going to ask you some quick questions and you just shoot me the answers. They're pretty easy, by the way. All
let's
right.
go.
So coffee or tea?
Coffee, always coffee.
All right. Cats or dogs?
Dogs. I like the loyalty.
There you go. Favorite quote or phrase you think about often?
Throughout all my teachings and live workshop with accountants, the one thing I always tell clients is get out of your comfort zone. Imagine a dot, that's you, draw a circle around it. That circle is your comfort zone. How do you break through that circle and get out of your comfort zone?
That's great advice, by the way, because I don't think you grow if you're in your comfort zone.
Correct. Yeah. To grow and to see real growth in yourself, you have to be outside of that circle.
What's your favorite movie or streaming series?
Favorite movie would have to be Ocean's 11. I just love the way it was filmed and how it ended.
There you go. Favorite book?
Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert
Wow.
Kiyosaki. That book changed my life. And the overall concept of what he's saying changed my mindset of how I see money, how I see work. It resonates well with me because I wanted to have a business, grow it, sell it, and do the next thing.
Yeah, that's a life-changing book. Last question, two parts. One bucket list item you've already accomplished and one you have not yet accomplished.
I think the bucket list item I did accomplish was probably selling my firm. I worked in a firm for 17 years, was able to grow it, and it was a big accomplishment to see someone else seeing value in it and wanting to take it over. Bucket list accomplishment I haven't accomplished yet is probably, I really want training to be more engaging. Like this is what I'm working towards right now, is making tax training not so boring, not so dull. And I wanted to make it fun, gamified, where there are leaderboards and badges you earn. And then it's not just multiple choice questions, but actual real scenarios. I call it scenario branching. If there's a question, whatever you answer will branch out to a different situation. Hopefully that situation is the best for the client. But if you choose a wrong answer, it kind of leads you to the wrong direction. And you kind of know it's a bad decision. And you have to backtrack to see where you made that mistake. Not just multiple choice questions, because that's boring, but definitely doing something that's more engaging when it comes to retaining the memory, learning new topics.
And the application, which is true too.
Correct. Yeah, which is, and with the development of AI, I want to utilize this more as one of my bucket list items as part of training. I've already created this inside my training, is that it acts as a mock client, right? So the AI will simulate a one-on-one client meetings, and the AI will be the client, will ask a question, and the account will have to respond back to the AI, and they have a back and forth conversation. And if there's anything that's unclear or confusing, then the AI will just say, hey, I don't understand what you're saying. Can you break it down? There's a frustration level that the AI is going to go through. If it reaches a certain level, it says, let's end the meeting. I'm going to fire you. So it has a direct result of whatever you answered. If you actually get through the whole meeting, the AI will change into an evaluator and will actually give you an analysis of how well that meeting did, and it will give ratings of how clear it was, how easy it was to understand, how correct it was, and a fake Google review of their client experience.
Oh, that's a great idea. It's ingenious.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the immediate feedback is super important when it comes to learning and retention and knowing where you made that mistake. Because a lot of these, say you have a 50 question multiple choice test, by the end of it, you don't care what you got wrong. You only care whether you passed or not.
Right.
But with this AI model, it actually gives you that immediate feedback of where you went wrong and what you can improve upon.
Oh, that's great. That is very insightful. So, Phuc, hey, thank you very much for your time today. And one more question. If any of our viewers would like to get in touch with you and collaborate, what's the best way to do that?
Email would be best, info@levelupquest.io.
Okay. Info@levelupquest.io.
Yes.
All right, perfect. Well, it's been great today. Thank you for your insights. Very interesting. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.